Hello and welcome to your first class of Music and Culture. My name is Andy Pettit. I'll be your instructor for this semester. And I'm very excited to get to know you guys, even if we're working asynchronously online. I'll get to know you through our emails and our interactions over Zoom as well when I meet with you individually. But this class is really going to be fun, I think, exposing you to a wide variety of music and different intellectual topics that will hopefully make you think differently about the world and about the music you listen to and about the music you perform. And it's going to be a fun journey together, and I look forward to going on that with you.
Like I said, my name is Andy Pettit. I did my PhD in ethnomusicology, which is effectively what this course is. Finished that in 2014 at UCLA, and I taught at UCLA for a couple of years after that before moving back to Colorado. I came to ethnomusicology kind of from a performance background. So I did a viola performance degree at the University of Colorado in Boulder and did some work at Peabody Conservatory before kind of moving into the ethnomusicology world and starting the study of the Indian sitar about 20 years ago. So I've been kind of actively performing up until a few years ago, and now mostly I'm doing teaching. I teach privately and also at CU Denver. I spent a lot of time in India doing research and also studying the music as well. These are a couple pictures from most of my field work done in really almost coming up on a decade ago. My research for my dissertation was actually on lullabies in urban India and kind of how the world is changing so quickly. India is urbanizing and kind of moving from a rural type of society to a very urban, very metropolitan society, and that's changing how people sing to children and how that change and how that shift in culture, the shift in living circumstances, etc., really impacts how people relate to their children. And a lot of this was just inspired by my daughter, who was actually born a few months before I went on my dissertation fieldwork trips in 2011, 2012. But I had a great time there, and I would love to talk to you more about this research. But really, that's not the focus of our class. The focus of our class is about understanding kind of the whole of the world, the whole of music and culture, and I hope to give you a great introduction to that. Just thought I'd show one picture of who I am more, so because I know it's difficult in an online class to really get to know your peers and your instructor, but this is me and my wife and my two kids. I now live up in Fort Collins, and we love spending time in the outdoors, so I split my time between performing music, taking care of kids, and teaching as well. So the purpose of this course really is to give you a much broader view of music than you may have gotten in some of your other courses. I think music theory is great, songwriting is great, recording arts classes are all wonderful classes. But I think the goal of this course, and it's a newer course for CU Denver to be offering, to be requiring really, is to put music in a much broader context for you. So we're going to discuss music in culture. We're going to discuss music from around the world, and really the way I do it is to kind of I've chosen topics that will go throughout the semester, whether or not it's music and race or music and gender or music and nationalism, whatever it is. I choose these topics, and I've chosen select music from America, from Europe, from Africa, from Asia, all over the world, really, and we kind of explore how these topics like music and race and gender, etc., are related to music and how music really informs our experience as humans. So really, this course is an introduction to music as a human phenomenon. I think it's really important to understand, again, like this broader context, broader than you would get in this music school at CU Denver, but understand music as kind of a global human phenomenon. So just for fun, I thought I would give you a couple of different examples of the types of music we'll be covering in this class. These are just kind of randomly chosen examples, but I thought I would play them for you. And as kind of a fun little quiz to start the semester off, I thought you should maybe listen to these examples, write down what you hear in them, what strikes you about them, what do you think the use or function of this music is, and I'll play these three examples right in a row, and then I'll discuss kind of what I see as the thread that connects all three of them.
Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram.
So that's the first example. The second example I'll play you is a bit different. And the third example.
When laden with troubles and burdened with grief.
So those three examples are from different types of music from different parts of the world, and really, I think by the end of this class, you'll be able to analyze what you heard in these examples and say, oh, now I understand the function. You have a guess of where these musics are from. So the first example was kind of what you typically hear in a kind of an American yoga studio slash kirtan event, where you have very kind of Western harmonies and very kind of Western accented words, and you heard some tabla drums in there. You heard some other things, kind of a mixture of music. So the second example you heard was a piece from a Tibetan Buddhist chant, and you could hear some pretty different timbres in there, very different sounding horns. And if you listened very carefully, you could hear some chanting going in the background. And the third example was one of a very old African American spiritual. And so maybe if you guys were awake and astute, you caught the kind of thread between there, which I chose as kind of music and spirituality in those three. And so I think by the end of this class, you'll really be able to pick out these threads in the different musics you hear. You'll be able to pick out and understand how these musics operate in context, in their cultural context. But I think the important point here is this course is not just to introduce you to or expose you to a variety of world music. You can do that on your own. YouTube is a great resource for that. But it's really to try and expose you to some new musics, but really make you understand the meaning and the context behind why we make and why we consume music, to understand how music not only kind of reflects culture, but actually helps create culture, how music gives shape to culture. And I think this is really going to help give you a direct, a better understanding of what's happening today in the music industry. If you're a recording arts major, or if you're a music business major, I think having some broader context of what's going on in the world will really actually very directly impact your potential career choices.
So I just wanted to give you an overview of the course requirements for this semester. I'll go into each one of these categories more in detail in the next few slides. Really, what I want to emphasize to you is really the importance of taking this class kind of sequentially. I know it is structured somewhat like it's asynchronous online, but if you kind of just treat it like a normal class, you go through things sequentially, it'll be much easier for, I think, everyone to keep up and get all your assignments in on time. One of the first things I want to say is that if you don't have a music background, there's no music background required. I do go into some specific terminology and things about music, but generally my ethnomusicology approach to studying music is a bit different than everyone who is studying music at CU Denver, and so we're all going to be starting from the same spot. That said, if I do move too quickly over some topics that are maybe more challenging, or you have questions, absolutely send me an email. We can talk over Zoom, or send me a Canvas message, and I can kind of clarify those things for you. All the reading materials for the course are online. They'll be either linked through on Canvas as PDFs, or they'll be online articles, and I'll talk a little more of those in a second. And there are a few things you need to do to kind of succeed in this course. First is make sure you do listen to all the lectures and complete all the reading, and take notes for both of those things. That really is one of the main ways you're going to get the information out of the course. There's going to be about 5 quizzes. We'll talk about those in a second. And there's a few written assignments, a soundscape paper, an ethnographic performance analysis, a book review, and a final research project that I'll talk about again in much more detail in a second. So just to break these different assignments down, quizzes are worth about a quarter of your total overall grade. There are about 5 quizzes, and each one's worth about 5%. The Soundscape paper, which is due in just a few weeks, is worth about 15% of your grade. The concert ethnography or the performance ethnography is about 20%. The research product is the largest portion of your largest single portion of your grade, and that's about 25%. And the book review, again, 15%. So it's kind of spread out a little bit evenly. My goal of this is there's not one assignment that if you don't do so well on it, it'll totally tank your grade, but you kind of need to do well across the board to succeed in the class. And I really want to help you succeed. The goal of this class is not to punish you with grades, but actually just to make you enjoy the content and understand the content and kind of move forward with something positive. So especially if you're having trouble keeping up with the workload or anything like that, make sure you contact me and we can talk about how to restructure things to fit you better.
So most of the readings are available on Canvas as linked as PDFs or as links to websites, etc. There are a few readings, particularly the ones that are linked to JSTOR, the kind of journal database that I use for some of the readings. And those are restricted, but you can access them for free if you're on the campus internet or wireless network. If you're off campus at home or somewhere else, you can go to the and get this kind of VPN and kind of Duo thing that CU Denver is using to access those readings. So all this information about accessing restricted readings is on the syllabus, and there's links to everything there on Canvas. And really the most important part is those readings on JSTOR that are supposedly restricted should be freely available to you. You should never have to pay for anything, and they're just as long as you kind of follow the instructions on accessing these readings that are listed on Canvas. So there's no textbook for the course, but the readings should be either linked very clearly on Canvas or linked to a JSTOR reading where you might need to get the VPN installed on your computer if you're off campus. I think most importantly, my syllabus, I take a lot of time trying to make it very clear and very thorough. So if you have questions about the course, about assignments, etc., please just check the syllabus. Please read the syllabus very carefully. I take a lot of time getting it, I think, appropriate for you, and if you read it, I think a lot of your questions will be answered. There are actually the first quiz I have, a couple questions on the first quiz that are asking really general information about things that are on the syllabus. So I would encourage you all, the first thing we should do is, if you haven't already, watch this video and then read through the syllabus so you have a really clear idea of how the course is structured and the kind of requirements that are set forth for you. The readings, I think, are central to the course. So oftentimes I base the lecture kind of direction off of the reading. So what I would really encourage you to do is do the reading before you watch the video, and that will, I think, really help you understand the content quite a bit more. Some readings are really short. Some are like 3 or 4 pages long. Some are a little longer. Some are like 30, actually some are even more. Some are 40, 50 pages long. So look ahead, plan ahead, make sure that you provide yourself enough time to complete the readings and try not to skimp on them, because they really will impact how you understand the material I'm covering in the lecture. For the most part, there is generally 1 reading per lecture video. Occasionally there'll be 2 readings per lecture video, and so just be aware that you have to read both of those readings. And again, just a reminder, if you're off campus and you're trying to access certain restricted readings, make sure you get the VPN installed on your computer. And again, that's all linked on Canvas and the syllabus on the instructions how to do that.
So the lecture videos are the biggest portion of this class. They're based on, or at least the themes and topics of the lectures are based on your readings. So it's really important that you do your readings first and then watch the lecture videos. I won't necessarily cover all the material from the reading in the lecture. Sometimes I do, just to make sure that you got it. But sometimes I'll just take the reading as inspiration for the lecture, and then we'll go further. So it's really important you do reading and then lecture, and don't skip on either, because you'll miss out quite a bit. Treat the lectures, if you can, like a normal class. Come prepared, be present, be actively listening. This isn't a really passive experience. You need to be able to take notes and really think about the topics, the theories, the music, the cultures we're talking about throughout the class. If you sit back and kind of kick your feet up, it might be more difficult to recall. So really try and treat this with some attention. Try to come here with kind of ready like you would in a normal class. During most lectures, I will also incorporate video or audio examples. And what I'll do, because of copyright issues, for the most part, what I do is I'll reference the video or audio example and have you pause the lecture video and then come back and I'll then kind of rediscuss or analyze what you watched after that. So you'll be juggling two different windows at least when you're watching the lecture video on your computer. And it's important just to kind of keep on top of that. And don't skip the video and audio examples because they really do add a lot of fun and B, a lot of context and important information during the lecture. So really, again, follow along, treat this like you're in a normal class.
There are quizzes. Like I said, there are 5 quizzes every third week, so week 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. The quizzes are really short. They should take about 4 to 5 minutes at most, but I give you 15 minutes. Once you start the quiz, you have 15 minutes to complete it. For this online course, I'm giving the quiz where you can take it. It'll open up at a certain point, and I'll look on Canvas for the exact dates and times, but it'll open up and you'll have about 2 days to take it within that 2-day window. So that's plenty of time for you to choose a time that will work for you. It's, again, like I said, it's only generally about 5 minutes to take the quiz, and so I'm hoping you can find a free 5-minute period within that 2-day window that I give you to take the quiz. Like I said, they're mostly multiple choice, really kind of basic. If you're listening to lectures and you're doing the readings, it should be really no problem for you. Another kind of a larger paper is the Soundscape paper, and this will be due really after we discuss in week 2 of the course. We're going to discuss music and space and architecture, and so I want to have you write a paper where you go out and observe a soundscape, and we'll talk more about this again in week 2. But I want you to go out to a place where you observe a space of sound, and that could be either natural space or city space or even indoor space. But you go there specifically just to kind of set yourself in that place to listen to all the sound, all the vibration, all the timbre, all the even kind of physical vibration you're getting, and then write a paper about it. So I want you to sit someplace for at least 15 minutes with your eyes closed, turn your phone off, and really be very present in that space. And I think students, in all my classes have found the Soundscape paper really fun and almost, in a sense, eye-opening. It's rare we actually sit someplace and just listen for a period of time. So sit someplace for 15 minutes, turn off your phone, listen to the space at different distances, listen to different frequencies, volumes, timbres, any other stimulations you can perceive. And once that 15 minutes is up, you take notes right away so you can kind of keep that the ideas fresh in your mind. And then it's your chance to write a paper about this experience. And part of the reason I start with the Soundscape paper is it's a little bit easier. It's really much more of a kind of a narrative of your experience, and you can kind of work with language, and it gives me a chance to give you some feedback on your writing that is not so maybe an academic type of a paper. So you'll write a paper about the experience, what you heard, where you were, what influenced the soundscape, how sound and physical space interacted, how those manifested in your head, really what the soundscape brought back in terms of memory and or emotion in your head. And so you'll put this paper, put on paper your experience as eloquently and as just descriptively as you can. And the paper is about 1,000 to 2,000 words. If you're having trouble filling up 1,000 words, really try to think about the ideas of timbre and frequency and architecture and space and all these other things. It shouldn't be a hard thing to fill up 1,000 words. But the most important part for the paper as well, for all the kind of larger papers, is that you're including some information and you're making references to either information in the lectures and especially information in the readings. And so you're going to have references and citation. That's a really important part to kind of integrate the theories and ideas we're talking about in class and put them in the paper. So it's not just a descriptive paper, it also is slightly academic in terms of making references too.
And the book review is your kind of second largest paper you'll be doing. The purpose here is to give a lot of freedom in the books that you choose and really choose something that really aligns with your area of interest. You can really choose any book that's broadly related to music, but I do ask that you email me and give me a citation for the book so I can approve it. It can be anything about music, but I just want to make sure that it's something that is reasonable and it's it meets the requirements of the course. So make sure you email me for sure a couple weeks before your book review is due, so I can give you approval for that. It's about the review itself will be about 2,000 words, not including the references cited. And again, it's all these instructions are on the syllabus. So if you want to really go detailed into it, look at the syllabus or look at the assignment tab on Canvas for more information. But the book review is, as I give you very explicit instructions in terms of what I want to see. I need to have a bibliographic reference, so the author, title, publisher, date, all that kind of stuff. And you can look at the syllabus at the bottom of the syllabus for all the books and or articles that I use in the class as kind of reference on how I generally write a citation. Or you can also look on the Chicago Manual Style online citation guide. I'll have a link to that in the syllabus as well, and you can find detailed instructions on how to write a citation. Second thing is I want you to rank the book. Once you're finished with it, give it 1 to 5 stars depending on how much you enjoyed it, how helpful it was, and just so I can actually have a good sense of if it's a good book to recommend to future students. That's a key important part. The description of kind of the book, what is inside the book, takes about 2/3 of your whole review, and you're going to tell me what the book's about. You're going to kind of say what the author was trying to achieve, how is the book organized. You're going to kind of summarize the main points, the arguments, and things like that the book makes. And you can do this either chapter by chapter, or you can do this kind of throughout the book as a whole. Sometimes I feel like it's a little easier to organize yourself chapter by chapter to kind of keep yourself on track of getting it all organized there. And then the fourth part of the review is an evaluation. What you do is it's about 1/3 of the review, and you really kind of evaluate whether or not the book met its stated objectives. The author set out to say something and do something and prove something to you, and then do they meet that? If not, if they don't do that, or if it was ineffective, where and why does that fail? What would you like if there was something more you wanted to learn that was not included in the book, or all these kinds of things? This is kind of your chance to review the book, to analyze the book, and critique the book, maybe in terms of it's how it's organized, how it's written, if it's written, if it's readable, things like that. If it's relevant, all this kind of stuff. And so this 1/3 of the review is really kind of where you take all of you learned and kind of critique the book in a positive or negative more way. You can, again, like I said, you can mix all these things together, or you can kind of do it chapter by chapter, whatever works for you. Again, you also need to include citations and references and quotations and things like that to kind of illustrate your points, and also to kind of bring in other content. So the book review shouldn't be taken just as a singular thing outside of context. What I want you to do is think about the book you've read in terms of everything we discussed in this class and everything you've learned, and maybe bring some of that information in to really evaluate the effectiveness of the book and whether or not you liked it and things like that. Like I said, the book review is about 2,000 words, and it needs to be posted to Canvas for my grading. And the third kind of larger assignment in the class is the concert or performance ethnography and analysis. And this is really your chance to go out and see performances. It could be a concert, it could be some other different type of performance, and bring in and kind of understand this performance in its cultural context. And so part of the report will be just giving me basic facts about what happened, who performed, where was it, when, etc. What was the audience like? How was the event staged? Were there any things that the musicians or performers did that kind of presented to you maybe some insight into who they are, what they believe, all these kind of things? What was the audience reaction, your reaction, all these things like this. We'll talk much more about what an ethnography is throughout the course, during the course, and I'll have a specific lecture actually devoted to ethnography and writing and things like that. So it'll be much more clear in the coming days. But really, the idea is not just a presentation of what happened. The real heart of an ethnography is to try and analyze the actions of people on stage, or people in the audience, or your reaction even, your kind of reaction to what was going on, and try to put that in a cultural context, but understand what all this means. So the heart of an ethnography is trying to understand what's the meaning behind action, meaning behind the performance, what's the meaning behind every person's everyday behaviors. Why do certain people hold a guitar a certain way? What does it mean when people do certain things? And that is really the goal of ethnography, is to understand the kind of meaning behind all this stuff. And you could talk about issues of, gender, race, or sexuality, identity, all these kind of things, how you can you draw on these concepts that we'll be talking about throughout the course and use those again to analyze what's going on in the performance that you choose. One thing I would say about this is make sure you look ahead for concerts, because oftentimes the free ones or the easy ones to get to disappear quickly, and the longer you wait, the fewer options you have to get something that's either close or free or whatever you like, or something you actually enjoy going to. And like I said, this can be virtually any thing that involves music. It could be a live performance. I also accept ethnographies on live stream and VR performances, but I really encourage you to do ones that are contemporaneous with our time. So don't look back into the 1970s and watch a video about Pink Floyd or whatever like that. I want you kind of doing things that are in the moment right now today. But if you need to have questions about that, or you need help finding concerts, there's a lot of resources online. But if you also are having trouble finding something that'll work for you, just contact me. We can talk about it. We can find something that'll be fun for you to observe, and also be helpful for kind of applying all these topics and theories and intellectual ideas for your analysis. So this is the last big portion of a big project for your grade in this class, is a research project. And I've left this, I've intentionally left this kind of wide open for you to design something that really would be interesting to you, be valuable, maybe have you learn something beyond what we cover in this class. So I've left open the format and the actual topic completely open to you. And you and I will work together over email and in face-to-face or Zoom, and kind of design a topic that will work for you and be interesting. So you can do a traditional research paper where you choose a topic and you just do about an 8 to 10 page paper and like you normally would for another class. You can do a video or podcast where you do the same sort of research for a paper, but then also put that into a really fun creative format where you can do visuals and link music in there and have a good time with that. You can also do an ethnographic interview and analysis with different artists around the area, and really get to know them, and then kind of do more of a kind of ethnographic type paper. And all these, again, we'll talk about individually, and we'll find out what works best for you. There are 3 components to the research project, though, that are really important that you keep in mind. The first component of the research, the final project grade, is the topic approval. And it's really important for you to start thinking about what you want to start researching early in the semester. I believe it's week 7 when your topic approval is due. And what that means is you're going to contact me over email or messaging, and we'll kind of work out a topic that is interesting and achievable within the semester timeline. Plan ahead, plan several weeks ahead, so you start in this process early. The last thing you want to do is try and email me the day the topic approval is due and expect approval to happen right then. Normally what happens is students will email me their idea, their topic, or general idea, and I'll ask them to refine it some further. I'll give them some advice or some hints, and I would like to see at least a couple references to scholarly literature or a material that you might possibly use in your research, just to show me that you kind of got the process started. But again, I'll probably go back and forth with you throughout 3 or 4 emails to finally come down to a good topic that will work for the semester, that'll be interesting to you, that'll be valuable for you to do. The second component of the research project, and these components are the same no matter if it's a research paper or a podcast or video or whatever it is. The 3 components are all the same. The second component is the Writing Center feedback. The CU Denver has a great Writing Center. It's free for students, and I think every person who's used it has found it very valuable. I've always kind of universally, people have told me that. So you have to make an appointment to either drop your paper with them or drop a rough draft with them, or you can meet over Zoom with them with the Writing Center, and you can work through some issues. Sometimes it's as much as designing a good thesis. Sometimes it's working out intricate grammar details. Whatever it is, they'll meet you whatever help you need, they'll meet you where you're at. And so that Writing Center feedback, you need to schedule that appointment really early. I can't emphasize this enough. the appointments, the consultation appointment slots disappear as the semester goes on. So what I would say the most important thing for you to do is make an appointment early, make an appointment later on in the semester so you just have that in your calendar. If you wait and you put off making an appointment with the Writing Center, you most likely will miss this portion of your paper because they fill up very quickly, and there's nothing you can do about that. So I'm warning you right now, it's really important to even if at the end of this lecture, go out and make the appointment, have that due date on your calendar so you can look forward to that and not miss out. And then the final portion, obviously, is the final paper, final research, podcast or video cast, etc. And all these things will be designed with me individually, so it'll kind of hopefully be something that'll be interesting to you. I've had projects on K-pop and American culture. I've had projects on ancient Japanese music. It's really it runs the gamut of anything that touches sound. Some of them very technical about technology. Some of them very cultural about identity and cultural issues that are pertinent today. So really start thinking about something that you like or you want to know more about, and we can start the process of getting a good research topic that's achievable and interesting for you. It's also important to remember that the topic approval and the Writing Center feedback, although they're listed as on Canvas, they're listed as not contributing to your final grade. What happens is if you're missing either one of those pieces, the topical approval or the writing consultation proof, if you're missing those pieces, then I take percentages off your final project itself in the end. So although Canvas makes me list them as not contributing to your final grade, that's not actually true. So be aware of that too. I hate talking about this, but it seems like I have to every semester. But I really do take plagiarism and academic honesty with the utmost seriousness. So all of your assignments will be posted on Canvas, and it's using the Turnitin plagiarism software detection. And I investigate every potential or possible occurrence of plagiarism individually. So I don't just rely on the score that Turnitin automatically generates for your paper. It's never a good idea to try to plagiarize your work. It will either get you failing the class, which is unfortunate because you have to take it over again, or kicked out of the university or on academic probation, etc. So I can't say this enough. Please look at the syllabus in terms of academic honesty, what's not acceptable. So things like using other people's work, using your own work from previous classes in your written assignments here in this class. All this, there's a whole different sets of things that you need to avoid. Plagiarism is also very easy to avoid by just using quotation marks and citations. So if you have any questions at all about it, please email me or message me, and also take a look at the syllabus and Canvas where I have links to CU Denver's Writing Center and also the kind of academic honesty sections of the university's website. So for late submissions to class, any assignment that's submitted after the due date will just be docked 10%, just right off the top. If you need an extension, if you contact me beforehand, not the night before the assignment's due, but a reasonable amount of time beforehand, I'll oftentimes grant an extension for the larger projects, especially if you can give me a good reason why you need the extension. But generally, I just take 10% off. I wouldn't. This is fairly. I'm being a little easier on this late assignment, late submission this semester, and I want to see how that works. I would encourage you not to take advantage of, it's just 10% off, but really try to get things in on time. It'll keep you on top of your assignments. It'll keep everything flowing correctly. If you put everything off to the end, inevitably you'll get crunched for time and you'll produce poor quality work, which will reduce your grade as well, in addition to the late submission thing. So again, try to get everything on time for the due date. It'll keep you on top of your work and doing a good job. That said, if I see that you're students individually are consistently submitting things late, I will contact you and we'll have a discussion about what can we do to get things back on track. Because I know if you put things off, inevitably you'll get in trouble at the end of the semester. So again, while this is maybe a little bit of a easier late submission policy that I've had in the past, I would encourage you all very strongly to keep very strict deadlines to what I've put on the assignments. So to wrap up, make sure to read the syllabus. All this information I've talked about in this lecture is on the syllabus. It's really important you read it. Again, there's a couple questions on the first quiz that are taken from the syllabus. Plan ahead. Plan ahead for your concert experiences. Plan ahead to make your Writing Center consultations. Make all those things early. And really
be present. What I mean by that is watch the lectures, do the readings, and do it all in a nice progressive manner. Don't save it. Don't procrastinate till the very end. It just makes life a lot harder for everyone. So if you have questions, please email or message me. You can also post questions for your fellow classmates on Canvas, but email is a good way to get a hold of me. You can also message me through the Canvas messaging board. Please give me at least 24 hours to respond, if not up to 48 hours. I have quite a few students who ask a lot of questions. Before you email me, it would be a good idea to check the syllabus to see if it actually has the answer to your question. That'll save everyone a lot of time. There's a point I want to make. I typically try to comment on your written work, so your reading commentaries, your soundscape paper, your ethnographies, etc. And I'll do that through Canvas. I'll comment on the paper itself and also give you some general comments. If you want to reply to me, and some of the best discussions I've had with students are in talking about their papers, kind of working out issues, kind of responding back and forth about things they brought up in their papers. I've had really kind of enlivening discussions with students. But if you do that, please email or message me. If you respond to my comments on your paper, on your reading commentaries, etc. in Canvas, I won't see it unless I specifically go back and look at the paper. So if you want to continue a discussion with me, ask me other questions, again, email or message me. If you don't hear back from me, maybe within 48 hours, just email me again and I'll try and get back on top of it. So again, I really look forward to teaching this course with you. If you have any questions, let me know, and take it progressively. That's my best advice for this class. So look forward to it. Thanks.